Good morning, good evening, good afternoon from wherever you're tuning in. It's your sis Moon Magic, and welcome back to Tea and Tarot, where we vibe and get together and pull cards for the collective and just have a little intuitive vibe session. I like to start these off by doing check-ins as people are coming into the live, and also giving us all an opportunity to just kind of ground into wherever we are. I know many of us had all different types of days, whether you had a moment to take some time to ground in and breathe and just check in with yourself. This is your time to do that. So as we're welcoming people into the chat, shout out to Indigo Queen in the building, DJ So Fresh. Grab your water, grab your tea or coffee, whatever you got. I got some water today because I have been dehydrated. I'm not gonna lie, need to drink some more water. And yeah, we're gonna check in. We're gonna start with some check-ins. And if you're watching this on the playback, you can go ahead and skip to the actual reading. But definitely, how's everyone doing? What's going on in your world? Let me know if you're here in the live, what's going on in your world. Drop a comment down below. And if you're watching this on the playback, definitely let me know down below. I'm going to go ahead and comment on here just like more information where you can find my website, www.moonmagicflows.com. That's all of my handles are moonmagicflows except for TikTok, because TikTok, I locked myself out of. And my Cash App and Venmo are also Moon Magic Flows for anyone who wants to donate. It is much appreciated, although not expected at all, but I am a full-time artist, so every little bit goes a long way. I know one Tea and Tarot participator will donate like $5 every now and then, and I know $5 doesn't seem like a lot, but it really does go a long way. So that's where you can check out more information about myself, as well as like see all the previous readings on my website. I have a link to all of my YouTube readings and stuff like that. But yeah, how is everybody? How are we doing? What's going on in your world? It's been pretty busy for myself. I feel like everyone I've talked to, we've all kind of been going through like the post-October slump where, you know, I don't know if it's the weather changing or just like October being such a busy month, but it just feels like all of a sudden November hit, and I can't even believe this is the second week of November because it feels like it's November 1st still. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but I know I do. And just like trying to catch up with all the things, and then also like the weather changing has like my allergies in a fit. I've been like super congested the last couple weeks. And just, you know, a little burnt out, to be honest, but also, you know, trying to pair that up with being mindful and doing things that are, bring community together and help to rejuvenate myself and community. So the full moon gathering that we did, I think I mentioned this on the last live. We did a full moon gathering here in Sacramento last Thursday, and that was really, really beautiful. Something that definitely supercharged me up and just like really just reaffirmed, you know, my belief that when we all come to a space with our hearts open, and, you know, I'm talking about, you know, we all come as good intentioned, well-meaning people, not people on some funk-ish, you know what I mean? But when you come and you have good intentions and you're a well-meaning person, doesn't mean that you're perfect, but you try your personal best and are willing to be corrected, self-correct, self-reflect, you know, hold yourself accountable. And when you have a group of people who are like that, who come together in community and bring their personal best to the circle, and we empower one another to bring our personal best, it's just really beautiful to see how that is enough and how it's actually like more than enough. Like your personal best is your superpower in the moment. And it's been really interesting and teaching me in so many ways, because I feel like the circle and group that I've been around has been really really healing in a lot of ways, to show me that like how much I would disempower myself to think that I need to continue to be more of something and overextend or do more or try harder or this or that, instead of just like really recognizing my power and where that power is and what I'm already doing well, so that I can maximize that and give more of that. So that's been something that's been kind of beautiful, and something I've been seeing, at least energetically, in my world. But it's definitely been a very exhausting couple of weeks. Even that was a week ago, and it feels like it's been 3 months ago. Other updates. Let's see. Has anyone else responded on updates they got? Indigo Queen says it's been a lot of intensity. Definitely been a lot of intensity. Shout out to that Scorpio energy. I see Will is up in the building. Shout out to Will. That guy Brando, Slender Mondas. Welcome, welcome. We're all just checking in. So if you would like to share, let me know down below what's been going on in your world. Aside from that, I have some really amazing collaborations I've been working with Indigo Queen, as well as some other really phenomenal artists here in Sacramento. And we have our 4-year anniversary. Flip a Beat Club has been running for 4 years, and I'm just really, really, really honored to get to perform for the Ladies Cypher this Saturday. So if you are in Sacramento, come through. It's going to be myself, Bagod, Miss Vame, and Virgo Gabrielle representing for the ladies of Flip a Beat Club. And yeah, just shout out to Flip a Beat Club because, you know, Flip a Beat Club is something that really, really pushed me to do more and be more as a producer. And yeah, like I don't think I would have developed, I mean, you never know like where your journey would go, but I definitely owe a lot of my growth as a producer from that space. The people I've met in that space, like Bagod, she's taught me so much. Monzrock, you know, DiBiase, just being around, you know, B-Wit and, you know, Bravo Domo and just like a bunch of other really dope producers, and seeing with how they flip samples and flipping samples together, and just, you know, that kind of camaraderie and all of that has been really, really inspiring for me in my production, and just has really helped me to up my production as well. So I just wanted to give them a shout out and congratulate Flip a Beat Club on 4 years, and just say how honored I am to be a part of that event this Saturday here in Sacramento. And we also have Culture Circle tonight happening with Unity Lewis and Poetic Butterfly. That's the bi-monthly that SAC 916, the collective I'm the co-coordinator for. We have a bi-monthly happening at Whiskey Chango's over in Arden. So I'm going to hop on over there after this live. Any other updates? What else is going on? We have a Xmas wrap-up show happening with myself, Soli Bull, hosted by Eli, Grody Omega. Jaji Preem is performing as well. We have 2 a.m. and Jack the Mad Rapper, as well as tomorrow and today. And that's also going to be happening here in Sacramento at City Sound on December 14th, Sunday. And then my official album release party. I'm so excited for this. I know my album came out September, but I'm finally getting it all together because I just really wanted to make sure I could perform the whole album. And Bush, Marty Bush, shout out to him, the OG in Sacramento, also dropped his album on 916 Day. So we've been planning to do our album release party together. So that's happening over at Golda Bear Sunday, January 18th. Save the date for that. Indigo Queen's going to be on the lineup. I believe we also have E.G. the Beast. Soli Bull's going to be hosting it. Grove is also on the lineup, and I think Jack Keys just confirmed as well. So it's going to be a super fun night, and I'm excited for that too. And it's also the 3-year anniversary of SAC 916, our collective doing our thing, running events, and just creating spaces in our community. So shout out to everyone who's been part of SAC 916 and just like, you know, shown up to an event or, you know, shared their magic at an event, been part of the lineups and helped organize in any capacity. Hey, Mark Katz is in the building. Hey, what's good? How you doing? We're just doing check-ins right now for Tea and Tarot. What's going on in your world, Mark? Let me know down below. Shout out to Mark. He is one of the OG supporters, I feel like, in our community. And he got himself one of the keychains for the Moving Different album. I hope to see you at the album release party. Aside from that, those are more like the things going on in terms of events. Man, I think that's pretty much it. It's just been a really busy season for myself, and just trying to, like, you know, honor myself, honor my capacity, and still show up, you know, the best that I can while honoring those things and finding that fine balance. And, you know, trying to have fun while I'm at it too, you know. And Indigo Queen says, you're so dope, Moon. Thank you, Indigo Queen. You're so dope, girl. I've really, really enjoyed getting to create with you. And I'm really looking forward to people seeing what we got, you know, coming now. I'm going to be playing some of the beats that I've been working on making with Indigo Queen actually this Saturday. So come out, come see it in the cypher. It's going to get wild. All right, y'all. Any other updates that y'all want to share? About anything going on in your world, any events y'all have. I know there are a lot of people have been like battling getting sick and stuff. I definitely feel that. Like, I was sick, my stepdad got sick, like my roommate got sick, all of us got sick like at the same time, and I refused to say I was sick because I was like, no, I refuse to be sick, I'm too busy for this. But it's been like, it's just been congestion that's lasted for 2 weeks, and I'm like, maybe I am sick, I don't know. But, you know, here we are. It's actually been 2.5 weeks now. So I'm like, if I am sick, this is like the longest time to still be congested. But all right, y'all, we're going to go ahead and dive into our reading since there isn't any more comments about updates or anything like that. Hey, shout out to Shook Ali. Alicia just entered the building. We just finished doing updates, girl. Although if you have any updates, you know, feel free to, you know, drop them down here. All right. So I like to start after we do updates with grounding in. This is just a good opportunity for us all to check in with ourselves, check in with our bodies. So if you got a sound bowl, you can use a sound bowl. I used to use my sound bowl and then I transferred it downstairs and never brought it back upstairs. But that's okay. We're just going to take some time to ground in. You can put one hand over your heart, one hand over your gut, or whatever really feels comfortable. I like to try to relax like my shoulders, my body, which is super sore, like slept wrong. And just take an opportunity to just kind of ground into your body. You could put your feet firmly on the ground. And we're just going to take some deep breaths in through our nose and out through your mouth. And just keep that going at your own pace that feels comfortable. In through your nose and out through your mouth. Just kind of observing how you feel. Any places where there might be tension in your body. Anything that might have happened in your world today. Something that's on your heart that's calling your attention to it. And the really powerful thing about tarot to me is it allows us space to bring the subconscious to the conscious so that we can work with it and really to give us that opportunity to pause and say, how do I feel? What is going on in my internal world? And with everything going on, sometimes just giving yourself the space to do that is super powerful and can be super healing within itself. So just continue taking those deep breaths in and out. And I just want to thank whatever it is that you pray to, whether it's your higher self or a specific form of the divine, for this space today. And ask that these messages come in a good way that make perfect sense to you for wherever you are. And that this space be a sacred container for this work. A couple more deep breaths in and out. Last deep breath in. And release. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Hey, all right. And just a little disclaimer, if I haven't pulled tarot, and you know, I know there's a lot of different tarot beliefs and people who pull tarot and have different beliefs around tarot. I don't personally believe that tarot is going to tell you anything you don't know, or that the tarot reader has any more power or knowledge over your life than you do. Tarot to me is kind of like a Rothschild's test. There is history and, you know, things we learn about the cards that help us to better understand the energies. But for the most part, it's really about tapping into your own intuition and what you feel. And like I said, bringing that subconscious forward. That's how you, I think, personally, in my own opinion, get the most from tarot, and using your discernment to really see what is the tarot bringing out for you to notice so that you can work with it. It's not a magic pill. It's not going to fix everything in your life. It's not going to tell you, what's going to happen tomorrow. But it will tell you what's going on right now and bring those things to the surface that you may be unaware of so that you can work with it and better understand the internal and external landscape of your life. And again, that's just my personal belief when it comes to tarot. And I try to honor everyone's different types of beliefs. Whether it's your different beliefs in the divine or the tarot, etc., etc. But all right, we're going to go ahead and dive in. Let's go ahead and start it with seeing what is the overall energy. Sorry. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be laughing. It's so funny though. I'm the worst at laughing. It's because it's like cathartic. When man, this has been rough. This has been really rough. And then the tarot would be like, it is rough. And you're like, damn. I don't know why it always just makes me laugh. It's like a cathartic, cleansing type of laughter. Anyways, we're going to dive right in though. So we have the 10 of Wands. And we have the 5 of Pentacles. So I'm going to, something I like to do with these sessions is just give us all an opportunity to tap in with our own intuition and what you see or feel with this card. Our supporting card is the Star card. So if there's any messages specifically that stick out to you when you see these cards, if there's any symbolism, any kind of images, let me know down below in the comments and I'll read some of them. But this is just our opportunity to tap into our intuition before jumping directly into like what the cards mean from a historical perspective. And it's a way to work with your intuition and kind of work with the energy rather than just relying solely on the card interpretations, if that makes sense. And if anyone wants to share, drop a comment down below. What do you see in the cards? Is there anything that sticks out to you? Someone said the number 3. Okay. There are 3 cards. All right, I'm going to go ahead and dive in. Shikali says the stars. Yes. All right, so when I see these cards, the first thing I immediately pay attention to, especially with these 2 cards, is like this, and it's kind of hilarious for me because I've been having a lot of back pain and neck pain, and I think that's very much connected. Yes, I slept wrong on my back, but also a lot of the symptoms that happen in your body are directly, at least in my belief, related to energetically, So if you're experiencing back or neck pain, it's usually because it's like you're carrying a lot on your back. And you may not feel supported, or you may feel like you're over carrying more than you should. And so for myself, I'm like, I definitely feel like I've been putting too much on my back. But I think it's really interesting because this person right here is also putting a lot on its back. So that was the first thing that stuck out to me. And then, of course, this energy, the 5 of Pentacles, is always a card that really speaks to me in terms of just feeling left out in the cold, whether that's, again, going back to like maybe not feeling supported financially, maybe not feeling supported by someone specific, maybe not feeling, maybe actually going through sickness, illness. This card can also be a depictor of like any kind of ailments in your body or in your spirit. And just overall, it's very much representative of the winter season. You can see that there's little snowflakes here, and the people here are, you can't really tell whether they have a home or a place to go, or, they're obviously dressed in clothes that aren't, they're like worn down. The clothes are worn down. This one has like a bandage over their head. This person is elderly, and it kind of represents the feeling of also like our most disadvantaged communities being left out into the cold. And then there's like this glowing light with the money, the glowing material, the glowing, the ability to sustain oneself. So there's a lot that you can pull just from the symbolism of this card. And the 5 of Pentacles traditionally has always kind of represented that kind of feeling of, not making ends meet, right? On a very physical, tangible level, that could be, not being able to pay your bills, not, being able to get enough for the Christmas gifts, if that's something that, you are trying to work towards for your family. which I know a lot of people boycott on the holidays, so, you know, shout out to that. But, you know, can all be kind of representative of that energy. And then the 10 of Wands and the two of them being together, it's this feeling of like trying to pull this, you know, you see he has all these wands, he's carrying it on his back, and it's like trying to do the home stretch, trying to bring it all home, right? Indigo Queen says carrying a lot of energy and pains. And then Aquarius energy, yeah, the Aquarius energy definitely has been coming in heavy lately too. Aquarius and Scorpio energy, with all these transits happening in the planets, definitely. This is a card of 10, and this is a card of 5, and then we have the Star card overhead, which is our supporting energy. So if I were to read this just like for myself or for the collective and what I see personally, I would say that collectively we're all kind of going through a lot. Our capacities are met in terms of like we can't take much else on our plate right now. We're all kind of just trying to get to the home stretch of whether that's like the home stretch of this year, the home stretch of this month, the home stretch of this day, the home stretch of this hour. It's like in every kind of way we might find that our resources are zapped. This could be, you know, struggling with paying certain bills, like I said, or feeling like some certain expectations with all the upcoming holidays and things happening, and you yourself trying to work through what that means for you and your family. And just this overall feeling of like our resources are limited and what we can give itself is limited, but we're being asked to kind of put the burden on our back and continue forward regardless, and to push through to the home stretch. That's the energy that these cards kind of represent, if I were to just read it in that way. And then the Star card being here, I really love that this card came with it though, because this is the supporting energy, and the Star card is always traditionally about hope, and also has this really beautiful message about how when we're in the dark, that's the only way you can see the stars, and you wouldn't see the stars if there was light everywhere. But we all want to be a star, we all want to be around the stars, you know, but not all of us want to be in the darkness, you know. And there's also these mountains in the background and these challenges that come with that darkness. And it's also a card to me that's a lot about nourishment and like the importance of when you are in the dark and in these periods that your capacity is met or your resources are limited, that you're taking the time to nourish yourself, whether that's, you know, taking a little extra time to put your shoes on as you're walking out the door, and taking those extra conscious breaths as you're grabbing your keys and getting your coat, and, you know, taking a couple extra longer minutes in the shower, and, you know, making sure you drink more water. I'm talking to myself about that. Or, you know, just really taking the time to meet your own needs and nourish yourself, and rather than, you know, continuing to just be in this energy. And it's also this reminder of like, even though this is maybe the season we're in right now, it's not always going to be that way. And sometimes we have to look to the stars to remind us of like transits and the way that things, you know, change and shift, and to kind of see the light in the times of darkness. And so this could also be a call to find that personal light even in a dark time, right? And that could be like, you know, I'm sure we all can say that during dark times there's those little moments, whether it's like the way your daughter's laughing, or your partner's like snuggles, or, you know, you're just having dinner with your mom and you haven't seen them in a long time, and even though you're stressed about all these things, it's like taking those opportunities for those little things, you know, whatever your situation is. If you don't have kids or a partner or a parent or anything, just take it and put it where it applies to in your situation. You know, it could just be as simple as like a friend calling you, and it's like taking the opportunity where you're like, man, I'm so stressed out, so much going on. And then your friend calls you and you're like, wow, like, let me be present with this phone call and just like really enjoy being on the phone with them. You know, it's also this kind of reminder of like in those little moments where we do get that nourishment, whether it's from ourselves, you know, like I said, taking those slow breaths as you're putting your shoelaces on, or with someone else, like really taking that in and allowing it to nourish us for those few moments, because they will help us a lot through the journey, is the way that this energy is showing up. And if you are seeing anything different, or it's making you think of something different, please share in the comments down below, whether it's here on the live or on the post live, because I always feel that when people add what they see on top of it, like it brings so much more to the space. And you probably are seeing it in a way that I'm not seeing it, and that will probably help someone else or trigger something else in a positive way that kind of just like gets the energy going. So definitely feel free to share. Shout out to Dr. Ray Supremo in the building, and take your clothings. But yeah, this is the overall energy that's coming out right now. So I would say in general, if you are feeling like, man, everything's just been a lot, it's been really intense, it's been exhausting, there's so much going on, I feel like I'm being kind of like pulled in many directions, I'm having a hard time finding my bearings, or like I'm just kind of like taking it and just trying to get through, that's definitely the energy that's showing up collectively in whatever area that's hitting you. It could be in one specific area, like I said, your finances, or a relationship, or your community, or it could be in all levels. You're just like, man, I'm just overall just super exhausted and feel like I don't have the capacity or time for things and resources for things, and I'm just like trying to get through, like I said, get through the day, get through the month, get through the year. But with the star card here, there is this acknowledgement of like those little moments, and to encouragement to look up to the stars, and to remember that in that darkness is also how we are molded into stars, if that makes sense. Like there's a lot of medicine and wisdom that comes in our shadows, and in those times that could be really difficult. And that doesn't mean that I think, you know, like bad things have to happen for good things to happen. I don't know. I don't always think that things translate like that personally. And again, I respect whatever anyone believes, and only share my own personal beliefs. So if it doesn't resonate, that's totally okay. You don't have to listen to me. Don't worry. I won't be offended. But you know, I think I say that because, you know, sometimes bad things happen to good people, you know, and sometimes bad things happen that don't make sense, you know, that don't have, at least not in our logical mind, right? Like, we can't understand it, you know, from this finite body in perspective, right? But there is a sense of like understanding that there is a higher perspective, or a higher vision, or something higher that is like being molded within you, or within this moment, even if you can't see it, you know, like, and this is also a great invitation, if this resonates, to look back on certain time periods where you have been really at capacity, or felt really overburdened, or were struggling a lot in a certain aspect, and just, you know, reflect to yourself how that kind of story panned out. And a lot of times, you know, we'll see for a lot of us that things kind of have a way of working out in mysterious ways, you know, especially when we keep our eyes on the stars, you know what I'm saying? So this is also important in terms of like, you know, not blocking our own blessings, in the sense of like, you know, getting so trapped in this, like I said, that you can't enjoy that phone call with a friend that might actually, maybe they'll come be like, oh, do you want me to come bring you food? And you're like, oh yes, please, I haven't eaten all day. And you're like, man, that really helped me. But if you didn't answer the call, you know, you wouldn't have even had them bring you food, right? And not to shame, you know, I totally understand if you couldn't answer the call. D&D sometimes is important. But all I'm saying is this is also like allowing yourself to be surprised in the way that you can receive support, and also seeing how some of our most difficult times at times can also be fuel, or opportunities for us to really mold our light, whatever that means to you, our sense of purpose, or a sense of, you know, direction, mission, the things that really, you know, when things are easy and you're not uncomfortable, it's really easy to just allow things in the status quo to be what they are, right? It's when ish gets real that people are like, damn, wait a minute, this isn't working. This something's changed, you know? And in a way that's kind of a blessing sometimes, because how would we, if we're all just comfortable, then there's a lot of things we wouldn't change, even though we know it's not working, right? It's like that uncomfortability is also showing you areas in your life where you're like, oh, wait, maybe I was, you know, always like, yeah, I'll be the one to do this, or, oh, yeah, you know, I was given this, or, you know, I was not realizing that I was, you know, had 10 subscriptions on accounts that I wasn't using, whatever it is. And this energy is like, oh, you know, Maybe it's the energy that gets you to look at your bank and statements and be like, okay, I need to like get off of some of these subscriptions, right? Or this is the energy that maybe it's like, oh, you know, that kind of toxic person who you keep answering their call. Maybe you shouldn't answer their call. You know, like, I don't have the time and energy for that. Realizing that maybe that relationship, while you might have felt obligated or whatever it may be, isn't a relationship you should have in your life at all, because your capacity's been met. And by met, I mean like surpassed. So it's like you can't, you're realizing I have to take care of my basic needs and myself, and that this person is actually not adding, it's actually draining that. And that realization within itself can be super powerful. Not because everything is like, you know, give and take in a way. Like sometimes we give just to give, but this is also an opportunity to see where are the areas in your life where maybe you're overgiving or overextending, or just the system itself is outdated. You know what I mean? I feel like we see this a lot globally right now, where the amount of strain that is happening in our system and in our world, we're realizing that there's certain outdated ways that just aren't working. And to see that as an opportunity to find new ways of existing that work better for everyone. So that's the energy coming out here, and how I would just see like the general energy. We're going to go ahead and pull some advice cards. And again, if anything comes out additional, let me know. I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts or what it triggers for you and makes you think of. But let's go ahead and pull some advice. And I also do individual readings. So, excuse me, if anyone's interested in that, definitely hit me up. Ooh, the Death card came out, but it was kind of reversed. We'll see how we think about this. All right, this is our advice. So, what do you all see? Let me know in the comments. And if you're new to the tarot, don't let the Death card scare you. I know it can be kind of spooky to some people, but it's all just about, you know, really something no longer being what it was, and it can't go back. It doesn't have to be a physical death. It's just, it could be the death of an aspect of your life, you know, like when you become a first-time mom, right? There's a part of yourself that you no longer will be ever again, right? That's just one example, right? Or, you know, when you move to a new city, you know, you're no longer the version of yourself who was in that old city, right? So let me know down below. I'm going to give us all an opportunity to vibe with the cards. If you see any symbols that stick out, anything it immediately makes you think of, you can journal it from where you're at, share in the comments. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and hop on this. So the Eight of Swords is actually what I saw first, so I'll talk about this one first. And the Eight of Swords, while it can be a very, difficult energy, I also feel like it's such a powerful card. Indigo Queen said Scorpio. Yes, definitely, because the Death card is actually ruled by Scorpio, so transformation is abundant, and that's girl, I'm glad you said that, because that goes back to the Star card, right? Is like Scorpio is also another energy. Like people don't like Scorpio energy, and they get a lot of slack. What is it called? Like, you know, shade, a lot of shade sometimes. Scorpio energy, because it's an energy that rules death and transformation, and it's uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable energy, but it's also a card of alchemy, and that's how you know, literally become like the phoenix and like a butterfly. You know, you got to put yourself in that cocoon and eat yourself alive. That's what caterpillars do to become that butterfly. And of course, I don't think that's, you know, applicable to everybody, or that, you know, doesn't mean that we can't have ease in our life at times, because definitely we should be allowed to have ease and not have everything be a struggle. But also, if you are adverse to the idea of transforming and being confronted with something that's uncomfortable, Scorpio energy, and we are in Scorpio season, is really one of those time periods that will, you know, kind of make you come face to face with the things that you're uncomfortable with, whether that's within yourself or within others or within the world. And just like really make you realize that the things that need to die, and I don't mean that in a physical way, you know, the things that you like, again, it's not working. This is not working, and it's not sustainable, and it's not something that we can continue doing. And it will put you kind of face to face with that and make you so uncomfortable to the point where you have to do something to change it, right? So, Eight of Swords, though, I got a little sidetrack. Love the sidetrack. The reason why this card is a little bit, I would say, like a misunderstood card is a lot of times people see this card as being like a victim. And while this card can feel like you feel like a victim to the situation, to the circumstances, to whatever it is, the Eight of Swords and swords in general are all about more mental than it is physical. The pentacles are what's physical in the tarot, what's tangible, the things you can touch, the things that you can feel. Like the Five of Pentacles, this is some real resources being sapped. This is some real, the physicalness of like your ability, your fire being pushed to the limits, your ability to sustain yourself physically and spiritually, right? But swords are more mental, and it's more about the mental traps of ourselves, right? And so when you see this card, it's about, you see this person who is blindfolded and they're all like bound up, you know? And the story that I learned with this card is that while she seems that she's bound up and that she's unable to move, the truth is that all she has to do is remove the blindfold, and that she can walk away from the situation. But it's those circumstances, those things that make us feel so bound up and make us feel powerless, but that's not actually our truth. And so for this to come out as the advice card, I feel like this card is asking us to evaluate those areas in our life where maybe we feel like the Eight of Swords and we feel like we can't move, we can't do anything, and to maybe try and look at that situation from a different perspective and ask ourselves, how might we be participating in our own, victimization to a degree, right? So again, going back to that toxic friend, because that's a really good analogy that keeps coming through. It's like, you don't have to answer that phone, right? But maybe in your mind, you do have to answer that phone, right? Like the people-pleasing tendencies you've been taught, or, that person, maybe they're a family member and they rely on you, but they're also extremely abusive. Like, so then you're feeling like you need to like take care of them, but it's also not healthy for you. And so you're like in this battle, right, within yourself, which is very valid and very real. And I don't say this to say that how you feel isn't valid or real, because those things are. But the Eight of Swords asks us to like look at that situation and to remind ourselves that we do have power, right? And to take that blindfold off and to say, you know what? I actually don't have to answer the phone. Like, oh, I got my no glasses, because shout out to Flow Fashions. Shout out to Poetic Butterfly, our feature tonight at Culture Circle. No is a full sentence. These are, Flow Fashions is her brand, so I'm repping her brand because she's going to be at Culture Circle tonight. Excuse me. But this card is really giving that kind of same energy of like, what are the things that maybe you should say no to that you're saying yes to? Or what are the ways in which you like voluntarily jump off the cliff, if that makes sense, and give your power away? And if that doesn't resonate for you, then again, it could be someone else around you. And with this Death card in reverse / upright, I see this as something that could be very difficult to change, because Death card upright is all about change and transformation. It's about something that's ended and cannot go back. But when it's reversed, it's often about us being resistant to that change, right? So this could be like your whole identity is built around being that person that people can call. So when that toxic friend calls you, you're like, oh, I can't not answer because I'm that person. I'm that person that people can call. And it's like, but it's actually doing you more harm now than it's doing you good, And again, this is just one example. These are all analogies, so definitely use your discernment to how the energy applies to you. But it's that kind of energy that's saying, well, do you have to answer the call? Do you really? And how we might be resistant to, to that change, and in a way, almost like an accomplice to our own demise. And so the advice here would be to recognize that, and not in a place of shame, and not in a place that, makes you feel like powerless to do anything about it, right? Because that's why I always say this card could be kind of a difficult energy, because when this card comes up, it can also, I've noticed, at least for myself and working with other clients, it can make us feel like, what's the word? Like, well, I was, made this way and I can't do anything about it. Or what am I, this is just the way that things are and I'm struggling to do that. That's already the whole reason of why I'm here, right? And that energy is so valid. And, I know it can be really difficult to sit in that energy and feel powerless in that way. But this card is also coming out to remind you that you do have power and how consistent habits over time do make a difference. And, whether that's reaching out to professionals, whether that's reaching out in community, whether that's, educating yourself to better understand in the areas that you need to get, stronger in. But that's the way that this energy is coming through, is it's a difficult energy, and that's because it's uncomfortable and it's resistance for a reason. That's why they call it resistance. But the advice here is to kind of just notice it, recognize where that resistance is, and not from a place of shame or judgment, but to observe it so that you can figure out how you want to work with it. And that doesn't mean that tomorrow you're going to all of a sudden just not answer that call, but maybe it's, okay, let me answer the call this time and just kind of notice, like, how do I feel when I'm having this conversation? What is this person saying? What is this person doing? Did they ask about me at all during this time when they were talking to me? Like, how is this helping? Did I just spend 2 hours of my day and now I'm really behind on my work? Okay, and then I get off the call. Now let me think about this new information and really think, okay, is this the best thing for me? Right? So if that person calls you next time, maybe you'll be like, oh, let me send them a text. Hey, what do you need? Send me a text message. I'm busy at work right now. And then they're like, oh, I just wanted to vent to you, or something. And you're like, okay, it's not super important. And you're starting to at least slowly change and transform that situation. And again, this is a real just like analogy. You have to take it to how it applies. But I think with tarot, and the reason why I always love tarot is it reminds us where we do have power and how, everything is like in life is very up here, right? There's a lot of ways in which when we're talking and we're doing and moving through life, we give up our power. And then of course there's things that are down here, like the real things that are happening in the world, right? And we have to be able to discern the two. And this card right here is a card that's like, sometimes you're treating this like this when it's really this, if that makes sense. And, it's asking you to really take an inventory of that and say, okay, what is actually in my power to change, even if it's uncomfortable, and what is not in my power to change, and how can I focus on the things that I can change in this moment that are actually doing me a disservice and adding to this feeling right now. So that would be the advice that's showing up and how I, if I was just doing like a straight reading, would read it. So I hope that resonates. I hope that makes sense for those who received this message. I'm going to go ahead and do some oracle cards. I know it's a little bit of a heavier energy, but, I always say tarot is not fluffy, and some people come to tarot thinking it's going to be fluffy. It's going to tell you everything's rainbows and you're just doing great, and just like keep doing that. And sometimes the tarot can be affirming, and it does like confirm the things you're doing well at times. But a lot of times, and the reason why I love tarot is because tarot will put you face to face with your own ish and be like, you need to own your ish. Like, come on, and like, and it's a great self-reflection tool when you may not be able to see outside of your own stuff and like have that honest reflection. And tarot will be honest. It will be honest. Oh, it will give it to you how it is, whether you like it or not. And I wouldn't lie to you all, I don't want to do that to you. And just like, I think that's a whole other thing about pulling tarot, is there are a lot of tarot readers who would just tell you the nice things. And, that's not, how I think you can get the best from it. All right. God of Conflict and Resolution. This is the oracle card that came out. It says, by drawing this card, you are being encouraged to walk away. Sorry. The confirmation, though. Okay. By drawing this card, you are being encouraged to walk away from a current situation which is causing conflict in your life. Y'all saw me pull this card right now live. It's exactly the same thing I was saying. Like, seeing those situations, you're like, this is not serving me. This is causing conflict. I'm at capacity. I cannot allow myself to continue to encourage or entertain this energy that is bringing nothing but chaos to my life. And the reality is that it honestly doesn't, and this is more my personal belief, so I wouldn't say the reality, but in those situations, oftentimes I feel like it's doing a disservice to both people, right? Because sometimes it's preventing the other person from growing or getting the real help that they need. It's like they're using you as a crutch in a way, you know what I mean? Understand that walking away from this situation is not a sign of weakness, but rather a sign of strength. There is nothing to prove or gain by fighting in this instance. The universe has placed this conflict in your way in order to guide you to your true path. What'd I say? Hey. That's crazy. Okay, anyways. I get so lit and excited about tarot. Don't mind me. There is nothing to prove or gain by fighting in this instance. Bless all concerned and let go. By detaching from the situation, new possibilities and opportunities will open up for you. Yes, I love that. I always love when tarot be coming in with the confirmations. I'll be like, does this make sense? I feel like, right? And then it's like, yes, this does make sense. Okay. Whenever I start to doubt a reading, the oracle cards always, the ones that pop out are always like, they'll be literally saying the same thing. It's just so interesting how that happens. Okay, Threads of Fate card. Let's see what comes out. Oh. Okay. Transmute. Yeah, that's some Scorpio ish right there. Is transmute. And then the story behind this card too is about the dung beetle and how the dung beetle lays its eggs in literal poop. And it's like the same analogy of like sometimes you gotta lay our eggs in poop and like, you know, make that ish turn into diamonds, you know? So it's the same kind of energy that it's giving of that Scorpio energy of that call to transformation and kind of working with the things that are falling away and the poop in your life to transmute it and make it into new life, just like the dung beetle does. Or is this a scarab? It's a scarab beetle. It's a scarab beetle. All right, it says, within you lies the ability to take dense energy and turn it into a lighter and higher vibration. You can do this in response to constricting situations, difficult relationships, or blockages within your landscape. Sometimes we do not need to consciously work at the issue, but simply have the intention of doing so. This card is an invitation to identifying that which needs to shift and creating a sacred container for what you want to transmute. Yeah, and I think this was also kind of just reaffirming what I was saying, like, you know, going back to the Eight of Swords, sometimes it can be so hard to get past this energy because it's like, okay, I identified it, now what do I do, right? And then this card is just kind of reaffirming, like, sometimes just identifying itself is really powerful and creates a shift in energy because now you're aware of it, that it's happening, and it starts to subconsciously change your energy or that person's energy. Now, that doesn't mean that there's no work that needs to take place, but I just think it's affirming that, like, just because this alone can feel so defeating doesn't mean that you shouldn't at least try to identify it, even if you can't do anything about it at the moment. And just see how maybe, even if you don't take any action, identifying the areas that need to shift, does that cause any shift on its own? Could be something that you could test out yourself. Because like I said, it's an invitation to identify that which needs to shift. And then my last card here is, it says, my dreams reveal that magic is real and anything is possible, from the Moon deck. So let's go ahead and read this one. And this is number 11. And we in the month of 11. Let's go. And this card is called Dream, which I don't know about y'all, but my dreams have been going off lately. It says, dreams of the night may reveal insights that rest in our subconscious. They may also inform our daydreams, where we become the masters of boundless possibilities. Our dreams need inspiration to flourish and can help us to better understand our path and awaken our connections to greater vision. Your dreams are asking you to bring them to life with continuous support and sincere belief. Consider yourself a midwife for your dreams. Welcome motivation, imagination, commitment, and a playful spirit. Set clear intentions for your present path, nurture its growth, and then let go. It takes bravery to build and fully realize your dreams. As you infuse them with conscious love and dedicated action, build your dream team and have gratitude for the inspired force beneath it all. And there's the journal prompts that come with this book, or like rituals that you can do. And one of them is having a dream journal. So if you have been dreaming a lot and haven't been writing down your dreams, then this could also be something that if it resonates for you, to maybe start writing down your dreams, even if it doesn't seem significant at the time. Sometimes when you look back at the end of the month, like at all your dreams, you start to see this like underlining energy that's kind of coming through and what it wants to reveal to you. But again, just take that only if it resonates. But yeah, that's all of the cards that I pulled for tonight for our collective reading. Shout out to everybody who came through to the space tonight and who's here and who shared. I want to thank you all for being here so much, and looking forward to pulling again next time. We'll see if we'll do it again next week. Again, I've been just kind of playing it by ear. But you can always find me on my Patreon. That's where I do readings every month for my Patreon subscribers. And I will usually do this at least once a month there as well. And it's all, the once a month readings always get posted to my YouTube channel too. So if you're not already tapped in there, you can go ahead and hop over there and you won't miss it at all. And always watch back on the playback. But until then, thank you so much again for everybody who came through, and I will see you all next time. Bye.